For dead, dozens injured in tornado that devastated Iowa town. Central Iowa was reeling Wednesday morning after what police described as a devastating tornado killed 4 people and laid waste to rural communities. Next breaking news: daily marijuana use outpaces daily drinking in the U.S. A new study says daily and near-daily marijuana use is now more common than similar levels of drinking in the U.S., according to an analysis of national survey data over 4 decades. Next breaking news: teens who use marijuana are more likely to suffer psychotic disorders. Study finds teenagers who used cannabis within the last year had a dramatically higher rate of developing a psychotic disorder, according to a study published Wednesday. Next breaking news: almost 6,000 dead in 6 years. How Baltimore became the U.S. overdose capital. The city was once hailed for its response to addiction. But as fentanyl flooded the streets and officials shifted priorities, deaths hit unprecedented heights. Next breaking news: at least 9 dead after stage collapses at Mexico campaign rally. A stage in northern Mexico has collapsed as strong winds gusted through a campaign rally for presidential candidate Jorge Alvarez Mace, leaving at least 9 people dead and about 50 others injured, authorities said. Next breaking news: thousands march in Iran to mourn Raisi on final day of funeral rites. Thousands have marched in Iran for the final day of funeral rites for President Ibrahim Raisi, who died in a helicopter crash earlier this week. Next breaking news: average U.S. vehicle age hits record 12.6 years as high prices force people to keep them longer. Detroit, cars, trucks and SUVs in the U.S. keep getting older, hitting a record average age of 12.6 years in 2024 as people hang on to their vehicles, largely because new ones cost so much. Next breaking news: Russia-Ukraine war. Live news: 7 people killed as Russia pounds Kharkiv. Russian strikes on the eastern Ukraine city of Kharkiv killed at least 7 people, according to the regional governor, Oleg Syniegyubov. Next breaking news: Rishi Sunak calls UK general election for July 4. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has called a snap general election, choosing July 4 as the date for a vote. His governing Conservatives are widely expected to lose to the opposition Labour Party after 14 years in power. Next breaking news: Uvalde settles for $2 million with school shooting victims' families. The city of Uvalde has reached a $2 million settlement with most of the families of the victims of a mass shooting at an elementary school in Texas City, one of their lawyers has said. Next breaking news: Nvidia's profits soar as AI boom shows no sign of slowing down. Nvidia, the chipmaker at the center of the boom in artificial intelligence, has reported a 7-fold jump in profit, sending its stock to a record high. Next breaking news: Trump says people crossing the border bring very contagious disease with them. Former President Donald Trump asserted Wednesday that people crossing the U.S.-Mexico border are bringing contagious disease with them. Next breaking news: House passes bill to rename LA federal courthouse after Latino family who helped desegregate schools. The House passed bipartisan legislation Tuesday evening to rename the Los Angeles U.S. courthouse in honor of a Latino family who paved the way for school desegregation. Next breaking news: Trump team moves behind the scenes to shift the GOP platform on abortion and marriage. Donald Trump's allies are quietly getting involved in little-noticed fights over who will serve on the committee to set the Republican Party's national platform. Next breaking news: judge dismisses felony convictions of 5 retired military officers in U.S. Navy bribery case. San Diego, a federal judge on Tuesday dismissed the felony convictions of 5 retired military officers who had admitted to accepting bribes from a Malaysian contractor nicknamed Fat Leonard in one of the Navy's biggest corruption cases. Next breaking news: a helium leak in Boeing spaceship will further delay its first flight with astronauts. NASA again delayed Boeing's debut crewed flight of its Starliner capsule on Tuesday so engineers can spend more time evaluating a helium leak in the spacecraft's propulsion system, the agency said in a statement. Next breaking news: FCC to consider rules for AI-generated political ads on TV, radio, but it can't regulate streaming. The head of the Federal Communications Commission introduced a proposal Wednesday that would require political advertisers to disclose when they use AI-generated content in broadcast TV and radio ads. Next breaking news: Senate confirms 200th Biden judge as Democrats tout major milestone. Washington, the Senate on Wednesday confirmed President Biden's 200th judicial nominee, surpassing the number of appointments to the federal judiciary made by his 2 most recent predecessors at this point in their presidencies. Next breaking news: Justice Department set to take antitrust action against Ticketmaster parent Live Nation. The Justice Department is set to file an antitrust lawsuit against entertainment conglomerate Live Nation as early as Thursday, multiple sources familiar with the matter confirmed to CBS News. Next breaking news: the collapse of a fintech firm with 10 million users has left many Americans without access to their money. A dispute between a fintech startup and its banking partners has ensnared potentially millions of Americans, leaving them without access to their money for nearly 2 weeks, according to recent court documents. Next breaking news: Amazon plans to give Alexa an AI overhaul and a monthly subscription price. Amazon is upgrading its decade-old Alexa voice assistant with generative artificial intelligence and plans to charge a monthly subscription fee to offset the cost of the technology, according to people with knowledge of Amazon's plans. Next breaking news: Target says shoppers are buying fewer groceries and home goods. Target said Wednesday that its customers reduced spending on groceries and home goods as concern about high prices persisted last quarter. Next breaking news: the most popular pill to treat women's acne is a blood pressure drug. A generic high blood pressure drug has become the most commonly prescribed oral medication to treat acne in women, overtaking antibiotics and birth control pills, a new report from Epic Research shows. Next breaking news: Louisiana House passes bill to make abortion pills a controlled dangerous substance. The Louisiana House approved a bill Tuesday that would add 2 medications commonly used to induce abortions to the state's list of controlled dangerous substances, making possession of the drugs without valid prescriptions a crime punishable by fines, jail time, or both. Next breaking news: Charlie Collin, former bassist and founding member of Train, dies at age 58. Charlie Collin, a founding member and former bassist of the band Train, has died at age 58, his sister confirmed to CBS News. Next breaking news: power outage halts Northeast Corridor trains, stranding thousands. Train service along the Northeast Corridor south of New York City ground to a halt Wednesday evening because of fallen overhead power cables in Kearny, New Jersey, stranding commuters and travelers on trains and at stations as far south as Washington. Next breaking news: New York begins a new wave of evictions from migrant shelters. New York City began a new push to evict migrants from its shelter system on Wednesday as the city enters a more aggressive phase in its effort to ease the strain that the migrant crisis has placed on the city's budget and shelters. Next breaking news: a completely different town now. A community reels from a deadly tornado. The tornado had just hit Greenfield, Iowa, and residents were already using skid loaders to clear streets. With the hospital damaged, they took the wounded to a medical triage center at the local lumber yard. And across western Iowa, paramedics and police officers were speeding toward the small town to help. Next breaking news: Harvard braces for graduation protests, a fitting end to a stormy year. Harvard is bracing for protests during its commencement Thursday, after one of the most turbulent years in the university's history. Next breaking news: inside the White House, a debate over letting Ukraine shoot U.S. weapons into Russia. Since the first American shipments of sophisticated weapons to Ukraine, President Biden has never wavered on one prohibition. President Volodymyr Zelensky had to agree to never fire them into Russian territory, insisting that would violate Mr. Biden's mandate to avoid World War III. Next breaking news: she just earned her doctorate at 17. Now, she'll go to the prom. When Dorothy Jean Tillman II successfully defended her dissertation in November 2023 to earn her doctoral degree from Arizona State University, she couldn't wait to share the news with her best friend. Next breaking news: C. Gordon Bell, creator of a personal computer prototype, dies at 89. C. Gordon Bell, a technology visionary whose computer designs for Digital Equipment Corporation fueled the emergence of the mini-computer industry in the 1960s, died on Friday at his home in Coronado, California. He was 89. Next breaking news: OpenAI strikes a deal to license News Corp content. News Corp, the Murdoch-owned empire of publications like The Wall Street Journal and The New York Post, announced on Wednesday that it had agreed to a deal with OpenAI to share its content to train and service artificial intelligence chatbots. Next breaking news: Pixar lays off 175 workers as it returns its focus to films. Pixar will stop making original shows for Disney Plus as part of a broader retrenchment, resulting in layoffs that will reduce its workforce by 14%. Next breaking news: a running mate's history, $1 billion, cocaine, a fling with Elon Musk. When Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was considering potential running mates for his presidential run, his shortlist was initially topped by 2 well-known men with unusual resumes: Aaron Rodgers, the NFL quarterback and frequent purveyor of conspiracy theories, and Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota and professional wrestler known as The Body. In next breaking news: TikTok moves to limit Russian and Chinese media's reach in big election year. TikTok said on Thursday that it was introducing new measures to limit the spread of videos from state-affiliated media accounts, including Russian and Chinese outlets, as the company deflects criticism that it could be used as a propaganda tool in a major election year. Next breaking news: Frank Schrontz, 92, dies. Led Boeing in the last of its golden years. Frank Schrontz, a widely admired executive who led Boeing in the 1980s and 90s, a decade of spectacular growth in both its bottom line and its prestige as one of the world's premier aerospace companies, a period very different from its current crisis of public confidence, died on May 3 at an assisted living home in Seattle. He was 92. Next breaking news: exit the modest merchant prince. Nice tends to be a dirty word in business. The cliché holding that nice guys finish last has seldom seemed more true than in the landscape of contemporary retailing, where business is dominated by corporate consolidation, monopolistic practices, and shareholder returns as the ultimate value. Next breaking news: the Internet's death warrant. Congress looks to sunset Section 230 today. House Energy and Commerce Committee leaders will consider a major shift to Internet policy. Committee Chairwoman Kathy McMorris Rogers and Ranking Member Frank Pallone Jr. intend to sunset Section 230, the much maligned provision of the Communications Decency Act that makes everyone responsible for their own online speech. While this move was ostensibly made to motivate industry to write a replacement bill for legislators, this is an explanation of unprecedented bad faith. Instead, the Section 230 sunset amounts to a full repeal that would decimate small tech companies, limit online speech, and undermine the entire Internet ecosystem as we know it. Next breaking news: Morning Report, border bill, possible Netanyahu speech, divide Congress, tax returns, artificial intelligence, and border security. Those are just some of the issues lawmakers are set to tackle in the coming weeks, as Congress checks items off the legislative bucket list ahead of their summer recess. Next breaking news: Nancy Mace holds wide lead over primary rivals in South Carolina. Poll rep Nancy Mace holds a sizable lead over her primary rivals in South Carolina's 1st Congressional District, according to a new Emerson College Polling the Hill survey released on Thursday. Next breaking news: Harvard board bars 13 pro-Palestine student protesters from graduating, overruling faculty. Harvard University's governing board rejected an effort from faculty Wednesday to allow a group of 13 students sanctioned due to their participation in pro-Palestine protests to receive their degrees and graduate. Next breaking news: Democrat rebuked on House floor for remarks about Trump's sex scandal case. Rep. Jim McGovern received a rebuke on the House floor Wednesday after he remarked on former President Trump's ongoing hush money trial, comments that were deemed offensive. Next breaking news: Haley says she will vote for Trump over Biden. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley said on Wednesday that she'll vote for former President Trump over President Biden this fall. Next breaking news: that'll cost you. ChatGPT copyright needs an update for the age of AI. In the internet age, copyright infringement lawsuits concentrate public attention on the speed at which technology races ahead of long-standing legal precedent. Next breaking news: US says Russia launched anti-satellite weapon into space. Moscow shrugs off fake news. A top Russian official on Wednesday denied US claims that Moscow had launched a weapon into low Earth orbit that could potentially attack other satellites, calling it fake news. Next breaking news: nearly 3 in 5 incorrectly believe US is in economic recession. Survey: a majority of Americans wrongly believe the country is in a recession, a new survey found. Next breaking news: Biden, AI companies must earn our trust before transforming lives. President Biden lauded the transformation artificial intelligence could have on the world, but he warned the companies that create it they would first have to earn our trust. Next breaking news: families of women hostages held by Hamas release video of abduction on October 7, Jerusalem. The families of women soldiers held hostage by Hamas allowed the release Wednesday of a harrowing video showing of the violent abduction during the attack October 7. Next breaking news: Biden touts confirmation of 200th judge of his presidency. Judges matter. President Biden on Wednesday celebrated the Senate confirming the 200th judge since he took office, framing it as a major milestone that underscored the issues at stake in November's election. Next breaking news: Elon Musk's Neuralink patient demonstrates how brain chip works. Nolan Arbaugh, Elon Musk's first Neuralink patient, says there aren't words to describe how amazing the technology is. Next breaking news: microplastics pervasive in human testicles. A new study found a pervasive presence of microplastics in human and dog testicles. Next breaking news: fish oil may increase risk of stroke, heart conditions. Study: fish oil may increase the risk of stroke and heart conditions like atrial fibrillation, a new study found. Next breaking news: second case of bird flu in humans confirmed in a Michigan farmer. A farm worker in Michigan is the second human to be infected with the current H5N1 bird flu virus, health officials said. Next breaking news: 6,000 doctors call on Supreme Court to protect emergency abortions. Almost 6,000 doctors called on the Supreme Court to protect emergency abortions, urging it to uphold a federal law recently challenged by Idaho. Next breaking news: Biden administration suspends funding for scientists at Center of COVID lab leak theory. The Biden administration said it has suspended from all federal funding programs the scientist at the heart of the lab leak theory of the origins of the coronavirus, and proposed blocking him from receiving federal funding in the future. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for getting latest update of United States, trending news and top stories about